I swore I'd never tell this story, not out loud, not in one piece. But it keeps clawing at me in the dark, rattling my bones every time the wind shifts outside my window. Maybe if I get it all down, it'll stop haunting me, though I doubt it. Some things never let go. I was 28 when I finally decided to thru-hike the Appalachian Trail. Not a section, not a loop, but the whole damn thing. Georgia to Maine, nearly 2,200 miles. People thought I was running from something, and maybe I was. My job had become a soul grinder, my girlfriend was gone, my friends scattered into their own lives. I told everyone it was just for the adventure, but the truth was uglier. I wanted to disappear. The first couple hundred miles were what I dreamed of: long days, aching legs, quiet nights where the stars looked close enough to touch. Hiker chatter, trail magic, shelters filled with laughter and snoring. You start to feel part of something bigger out there, like the white blazes mark not just a trail but a thread tying you to every soul who's walked before. By the time I crossed into the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, I was already beat to hell but riding that hiker high. The Smokies are brutal, endless ridgelines, climbs that rip the air out of your chest, weather that flips on you like a coin. But they're also beautiful. Fog rolling through spruce and fir, ridges stretching forever. I thought I'd found heaven carved out of wilderness. But that was before the smell. It hit me about 2 days north of Fontana Dam, climbing toward Clingman's Dome. I'd just set up camp near a small clearing off the trail, nothing fancy, tent pitched, bare bag hung, boots unlaced. I was spooning down one of those nasty freeze-dried meals when it hit. A stench so sharp and wrong it punched through the night air like a blade. Not just rot. It was like rust and blood mixed with spoiled fruit, with something sour, chemical, almost metallic under it. I gagged, nearly dropped my food. The first thought was maybe a dead deer somewhere close. Or worse, a bear carcass. But when I grabbed my headlamp and swept the tree-line, there was nothing. No buzzards, no tracks, no torn ground. Just stillness. The kind of silence that presses on your ears until you realize even the crickets shut up. That silence, it got under my skin. I doused my cooked pot, zipped into my tent early, and held my knife close, telling myself it was nothing. Just nerves. Just trail paranoia. But then the footsteps came. Around midnight, I woke up. Not to a dream, not to wind, but to the crunch of leaves. Slow, deliberate, one step at a time. Not the scatter of raccoons or the twitchy dart of a fox. These were human steps. I froze. My knife was already in my hand, blade slick with sweat. Whoever it was walked all the way around my tent in a perfect circle, each step drawn out like they wanted me to know they were there. And then they stopped, right behind my head. The air grew so still it felt like the world was holding its breath. I clenched my teeth, my lungs burning as I tried not to breathe. Whoever was out there didn't move, didn't speak, didn't shine a light, just stood there. I stayed locked in that position until dawn cracked gray through the trees. My hand was numb from gripping the knife. When I finally unzipped the tent, there was nothing but quiet woods. Until I looked down. Boot prints. Not mine. The soles were almost smooth, like old leather shoes, worn flat by years. And the toes pointed inward, pigeon-toed. It shouldn't have freaked me out as bad as it did, but something about it was just wrong. I packed up in minutes, didn't even eat, and started hiking like the devil himself was behind me. All that day, the smell returned in waves. Not constant, but drifting in like smoke. One moment clean mountain air, the next that sour metallic stench, clinging to the back of my throat. And always the silence. No birdsong, no chatter of squirrels, just my boots on dirt and the thump of my heart. I pushed hard, skipped breaks, damn near collapsed when I finally stumbled into Derrick Knob Shelter. A couple section hikers were there, laughing, swapping stories, cooking ramen. I wanted to sit with them, pretend I was safe, but the stink was stronger near that shelter, almost unbearable. So I kept walking, even though my legs screamed for rest. That night, I camped high on a ridge, sparse trees all around, so I could see in every direction. I didn't make a fire, didn't cook, just crawled into my tent, knife in hand. And that's when he came. Around 2 in the morning, the breathing started. Slow, steady, human breathing just outside the tree line. Then the steps. Crunch, crunch, not circling this time, coming straight toward the tent. Through the nylon, lit by pale moonlight, I saw him. Tall, lean, A silhouette with something long in his hand. Not a stick. Longer. Straighter. A staff. He stopped just outside, raised the staff, and tapped it once against the ground. A sound sharp as a gunshot in the silence. Then he turned and walked away. But the smell clung to the tent long after he was gone. I didn't sleep. Just sat there shaking until dawn. By the third day, I was done. Screw the through hike, screw the Smokies, screw every romantic notion of finding myself. I just wanted out. I cut down a side trail I'd marked on my map, a maintenance road that would lead back toward Newfound Gap and maybe salvation. Late in the afternoon, near collapse, I found it. An old hunting shack sagging in the woods. 3 walls, half a roof, wood rotting like paper. I ducked inside just to catch my breath. That's when I saw the carvings. Names scratched into the wood above the doorway. Dozens of them. Some just initials, others full names. Every single one had a date. Some from decades back, others recent. The newest was from 3 days earlier. And below it, a blank space. Like it was waiting. For me. My knees buckled. I sat there in the dirt, clutching the knife like a child holds a toy. Every snap outside the shack, every gust of wind. I thought it was him coming back. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. Just watched the woods through a gap in the wall, praying the night would end. When the sky finally bled into gray, I bolted. Stumbled down the road until I saw the ranger truck. Probably looked like I'd crawled straight out of hell. The ranger asked if I was okay. I told him I'd seen a bear and got turned around. He didn't push. When I got home, I sold everything. My pack, my tent, even my boots. Haven't set foot on a trail since. And yet, sometimes, when the night air shifts just right, I swear I smell it again. That rot, that blood, that sweet spoiled fruit. And I know he's still out there, waiting for me to finish the hike. I never thought the Appalachian Trail could turn on me like that. People talk about the loneliness, the exhaustion, the bears, the snakes, but nothing in all the stories, in all the guidebooks, in all the town stop rumors prepared me for what Sean and I stumbled into near Ridgepoint Bluff. That night changed me. Changed him too. And I'll be damned if I can ever set foot near a fire tower again without shaking. We'd been on the trail for weeks by then, me and my cousin Sean. We weren't rookies. At least, we didn't think we were. We'd put in the miles from Springer Mountain, Georgia, all the way through Tennessee and up into Virginia. Our legs were trail strong. Our food system worked, and we'd fallen into the rhythm of thru-hiker life. Wake up, pack down the tent, shove Pop-Tarts into our mouths, and start hiking. Step after step, ridge after ridge, day after day. You almost forget you're out in the wild sometimes, like the trail is its own endless highway. But Ridgepoint Bluff. Jesus, Ridgepoint Bluff wasn't just another ridge. Folks in town had mentioned the old fire tower up there. Some said it was worth the climb for the views. Others said it was dangerous, rotting out, not safe for anyone to be climbing on. But the whispers said hikers had camped up there, and some never came back down. I laughed it off when I heard it, thinking it was just trail gossip, the kind of spook story people tell over beers in Damascus to get through hikers rattled. Sean was the one who brought it up again as we were pushing through a long uphill that afternoon. You know that tower ain't far off trail from here, he said, sweat dripping down his sunburned neck. Couple miles west, maybe less. Imagine the view from up top, man. View's the same from the trail, I muttered, shifting my pack higher. Don't need to risk falling through some rotten wood. He grinned like he always did when he smelled adventure. Come on, Derek. You gonna tell our kids we passed up camping on top of a fire tower? We're through hiking the goddamn at. Might as well make it legendary. I should have told him hell no. I should have shut it down right there. But Sean had that way about him. Ever since we were kids, he was the one dragging me into dumb dares, into the woods at night, into abandoned barns and caves and storm drains. Half the scars on my body are because I followed him into something I shouldn't have. And I always followed. So, against my better judgment, we took the detour. A faint, overgrown side trail, not marked, winding through thickets and across rocks, climbing higher and higher until the trees broke open and there it was. The fire tower. It clawed at the sky like some rusted skeleton. The metal frame was flaking red and orange with decay, the wood steps groaning under our boots as we tested them. It rose above the treetops, and when we craned our necks to look up, it seemed to go on forever. Sean's grin widened. Hell yeah. Tonight, we sleep in the sky. We climbed. Each step creaked. Nails jutted out like teeth. My palms sweated as I gripped the rail, because one wrong move and you'd fall 50 feet into nothing but jagged rock and brush. My stomach flipped, but Sean just laughed like he was a kid again. By the time we reached the top, I was trembling. But damn, the view. I'll give him that. Endless ridgelines, layers of mountains fading into dusk. The whole forest stretched out like a dark ocean, the horizon bleeding orange and purple. We set our packs down, took a breath, and for a while, it was worth it. We sat up there eating our sad little dinners of ramen and tortillas, watching the sky turn black and the stars come out. No tents, no shelters, no towns, just us and the tower and the night. But when the sun was gone, so was the comfort. It started with the wind, low, moaning, slipping through the beams, making the whole tower groan. Then came the silence. Not the good kind. Not the peaceful hush of a mountain night. This was a strangled silence. No owls, no crickets, no rustling in the brush. Just nothing. Like the woods were holding their breath. I told myself it was just the altitude, the open air. But then I heard it. Footsteps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Circling below. Slow. Deliberate. My head snapped toward Sean. He'd heard it too. His eyes were wide, reflecting starlight. "You hear that?" he whispered. "Yeah," I breathed. "Probably just a deer." But even as I said it, I knew. No deer walks in a circle like that. We pressed against the railing, peering down into the black. But our headlamps barely reached the ground, and all I saw were shifting shadows. The footsteps stopped. My chest tightened. Then, from the dark, a voice floated up. Sean. It was his name. Drawn out, low, warped. Like someone trying too hard to mimic a voice. My blood iced. Sean whipped his head toward me, panic written all over his face. "The hell was that?" he hissed. "Not me," I said. My throat was dry. Then again, louder, closer. "Sean, help me up." The voice was wrong. Too deep, too slow, stretched like it was playing on a warped tape. But it was trying to be me. Sean staggered back, eyes locked on me, confusion battling with terror. And then I saw it. Climbing. From the beams below, long fingers curled around the metal, pulling up a body that wasn't right. Too thin, too long-limbed, joints bending in ways they shouldn't. Its head lolled, hair hanging, face hidden in shadow. But the way it moved, oh God, the way it moved, like a spider dragging itself up human bones. Sean backed into me, whispering rapid prayers under his breath. My whole body was shaking. "Derek," it said now, in my cousin's voice. Higher, nasal, but broken, like something had listened to Sean speak and was trying to force his voice through its throat. "Derek, help." It was almost at the platform. Panic took over. I grabbed Sean, shoved him toward the far side. "We're leaving. Now. Our packs." "Screw the packs," I snapped. "Move." We scrambled to the opposite rail, metal shrieking under our boots. Sean swung a leg over and slid down a beam, his hands burning on rust and splinters. I followed, adrenaline drowning out the pain. Behind us, the thing's hands clawed over the platform edge. I didn't look back. Couldn't. We hit the ground hard, knees buckling. Then we were running. No headlamps, just blind panic through brush and stone, branches tearing at our arms and faces. I could hear it above us, moving in the tower, the metal rattling like a storm. And worse, I could hear its voice, still trying, still warping. "Sean, Derek, don't run." I've never run like that in my life. My lungs burned, legs screaming, but fear drove me like a whip. Sean crashed ahead of me, cursing, sobbing, falling and getting back up. We didn't stop, didn't dare. Finally, after what felt like hours, we stumbled back onto the white blaze of the At. Safe trail. Familiar trail. We collapsed, gasping, both of us shaking so hard our teeth clattered. We didn't go back for the packs. Didn't go back for anything. We hiked through the night, through the next day, hollow-eyed, until we reached town. And we never spoke of it again. Not really. Sean won't hike anymore. Says he's done with the woods for good. Me? I still walk the trail, but when people talk about the fire towers, about the views, about the romance of camping in the sky, I stay quiet. Because I know what's waiting out there on the beams, waiting for another pair of fools to climb too high, too far, where the voices don't belong. And whatever followed us that night, It wasn't a hiker. I should have never taken that damn detour. I should have kept walking north like every other thru-hiker grinding their way up the Appalachian Trail. But no, my dumbass had to listen when the old men outside the gas station in Franklin started talking about a shortcut shelter a mile off the ridge. I was tired, sore, soaked through from 2 days of rain, and the idea of a dry roof sounded like gold. One of them, big gut, nicotine-stained beard, told me not to mess around west of the ridge, not to follow the carved trees. I laughed it off, figured it was just backwoods superstition. He looked me dead in the eye, dead serious, and said, "Boy, don't be a fool. The carved trees will walk you somewhere you don't want to go." I thought it was just hillbilly folklore. Christ, I wish I'd listened. By that point, I was 2 months into my thru hike, trail named Stitch, because I'd ripped my side open on a fence the first week. My cousin had started with me back in Georgia, but bailed in the Smokies. I was alone now, and the loneliness was chewing me raw. My body was toughening up, but my mind was frayed. Nights in the tent, I'd lie awake listening to coyotes or owls and swear something heavier was out there, pacing. My brain told me I was cracking. Turns out I wasn't cracking, I was getting warned. I left the white blazes behind late afternoon and followed a faint blue blaze west. The trail wasn't maintained. Brush closed in, rocks slick, ground chewed with deer prints. After about 30 minutes, I started noticing bones. Not whole skeletons, just pieces. Femurs, ribs, skull shards. Clean, white, placed neat along the trail like some psycho had been decorating. They weren't gnawed, weren't dirty, just gleaming like they'd been boiled. I muttered, "Hell no, this is some creepshow shit." But I kept walking, because I'm an idiot, and because turning around in daylight felt like admitting I was scared. Then I saw the first carved tree. A fat oak with its bark slashed away, and in the raw wood somebody had gouged a circle with a line through it, deep, jagged, blackened, like charred. I touched it without thinking, and my fingers came away smeared with something sticky. Not ash, something fresher. Another 100 yards, another tree, different mark. A spiral, edges sharp, black handprint pressed beneath it. And I swear to God, the print was wet, dripping down the bark even though it hadn't rained in hours. That was when the woods went silent. Not quiet, dead. No birds, no bugs, no rustle. Just me breathing and my heartbeat slamming in my ears. I whispered, "Jesus Christ, what the hell is this?" I should have turned back. Should have sprinted back to the at. But the trail kept pulling me, like gravity. I walked faster, muttering curses, telling myself it was just locals screwing around. But my gut felt like ice. I came to a small clearing as the sun dropped, and there it was, the circle. Stone set perfect around a pale stump, cut flat, no bark, smooth like polished bone. Hanging from a branch above it, swaying even though there was no wind, was a frayed noose. Old rope, fibers splitting, but it was tied hard, waiting. I froze. Couldn't breathe. My whole body screamed, "Get the fuck out." Then I saw him. Barefoot, gaunt as a scarecrow, naked chest, ribs sticking like knives, skin gray as ash. Eyes wide and pale, no pupils, just milk-white discs staring through me. He stood across the circle and raised one arm. His finger pointed at the stump like he was telling me, "Sit down." I choked out, "Oh God. Oh fuck no, hell no." He didn't move except that hand, pointing. My legs gave way. I stumbled back, tripped on a root, slammed my shin. Pain barely registered because that thing opened its mouth then, wide, too wide, and a voice spilled out. My mother's voice. "Mason, come sit." I screamed. I don't even remember what I yelled, just raw terror tearing my throat. Then I ran. Branches tore my arms, my pack caught and ripped, but I didn't stop. I ran until blood filled my mouth from biting my tongue. I don't know how long, minutes, hours. By the time I crashed into the old shelter, it was full dark. Just 4 walls, tin roof, open doorway. Primitive. I collapsed inside, chest heaving. I tried to tell myself I'd hallucinated, that exhaustion and hunger had fried me. But then I heard it. Knock. On the wall outside. Slow, deliberate. Knock. Again, right by the doorway. I whispered, "Please God, please no." Then the voice came. My mother's voice again, but off, stretched thin, calling my name. "Mason, open the door. Come outside." Asterisk. I pressed my back to the far wall, knife in my fist. The voice circled the shelter, soft steps padding in the leaves. Every few seconds it would stop, call my name, sometimes laugh, sometimes whisper asterisk, "Boy, boy, boy." Asterisk. At some point I blacked out, maybe from sheer terror. When I opened my eyes, gray light was leaking through the doorway. It was morning. I staggered outside, legs jelly. No one there. No sound. But in the mud around the shelter were footprints. Bare, long, thin, toes splayed. Dozens of them. They circled the place again, and then stopped. Like whoever it was had just disappeared mid-step. That was it for me. I didn't care about thru-hiking anymore. Didn't care about Kitadine, about proving anything. I grabbed what was left of my gear and hauled ass back east until I found the white blazes again. My body was wrecked, knees swollen, blisters bleeding, but I didn't stop until I hit the highway. I hitchhiked into town and bought a bus ticket that same day. Never went back for my pack, my tent, nothing. I told people I got hurt, that I'd had enough. Nobody ever got the real story. It's been years. I've got a wife now, kids, a job. But some nights, when the house is quiet, I'll hear it again. That slow knock. That voice, too sweet, too familiar, whispering my name through the walls. And I'll remember that pale finger pointing at the stump, and I'll know damn well I didn't escape. I just postponed whatever the hell was waiting for me in those woods. I was 23, and I thought I had something to prove. My girlfriend had dumped me 2 months earlier. My crappy warehouse job had eaten up 3 years of my life. And I woke up one morning staring at my ceiling thinking, the hell am I even doing? That's when I decided I was going to take off. For days. No phone, no signal, no comfort. Just me, my pack, and the Appalachian Trail running through the Blue Ridge near a little nowhere called Ledger's Gap. I'd read online about thru-hikers tackling the hole in 6 months, grinding through mud and storms and God knows what else. I wasn't that ambitious. 4 days was enough to convince myself I could handle being alone without losing it. And, truth be told, I was chasing that silence. I wanted the kind of quiet where you can hear your own blood in your ears. The trailhead looked like something out of a forgotten postcard. Gravel patch, half-rotted post with a sun-bleached sign that read no maintenance beyond this point. No ranger kiosk, no parking lot, just woods swallowing everything in green. I locked my car, slung my pack, and stepped off, thinking, asterisk, this is it. Fresh start, asterisk. The first day was nothing but bliss. I hiked 6 miles, found a little creek, pitched my tent on soft ground. Filtered water, boiled chili, stretched out barefoot with the trees whispering overhead. I even read a couple chapters of that paperback mystery I'd been carting around. When I finally crawled into my sleeping bag, I thought, damn, this was a good idea. The second morning, I wanted to push farther. There was an overlook marked on my map about 2 miles up a ridge. Nothing crazy, just a side trip. To be safe, I did what old-timers online had suggested. Tore strips from my ratty red t-shirt and tied one every 100 yards. Quick little loops on branches, nothing fancy. Insurance, that's all. The hike up was clean. No people, no noise but my boots crunching. When I reached the overlook, it knocked the air out of me. Layers and layers of green rolling forever, trees smashed together into one endless wall. I ate granola and jerky sitting on a rock, breathing in the smell of dirt and old leaves. For half an hour, I felt like I could breathe again. But the trail always takes back what it gives. When I came down and broke into the clearing where my tent sat, my stomach went cold. 20 feet from my setup, hanging shoulder-high off a branch, was another strip of red cloth. Same size, same color, only the knot was different. Tight, practiced, like someone who knew their way around rope had tied it. And the fabric looked darker, like it had been dragged through mud. I froze. My first thought was maybe I'd done it and forgotten. But no, I hadn't walked near that part of the clearing earlier. My loops were sloppy. This one looked deliberate. That was the first time I felt it. The creeping thought, someone's out here with me. I didn't eat dinner that night. I zipped into my tent the second the sun went down, knife beside me. Every rustle outside sounded too close. Every creak of branch had weight to it. I told myself, just wind, just squirrels, but deep down, I knew better. I barely slept. By dawn, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going back to my car the same way. If someone had messed with me, they'd expect that. My map showed an old primitive shelter 8 miles deeper. For walls, maybe a lock, maybe an old Ranger radio. Better than canvas between me and whoever was screwing with me. 2 hours in, the woods changed. Not gradually. It was like a switch flipped. The birds stopped. Even the sound of my boots seemed swallowed. I remember thinking, this is bad juju. That's when I heard it. Soft steps ahead. Too light for a deer. Too smooth for a raccoon. I called out, hello. Nothing. The trail split 50 yards up. Left climbed hard into a ridge. Right dropped into the valley. And there, on a branch up the left side, was another red strip. Same knot as before. Same shoulder-high placement. That scared the shit out of me. My throat went dry. Whoever it was, they weren't just following. They were herding, marking where they wanted me to go. Hell no. I turned right without another thought, practically jogging, lungs burning. When I finally stumbled up to the shelter, I nearly cried. It was a shack, half-rotted, tin roof bent like someone had stomped it. But it had a door, a bolt, a wall I could press my back against. Inside, it smelled like smoke and mice. One broken shelf, a busted broom, a pile of leaves in the corner. Nothing else. I bolted the door, lit my candle, and sat there with my knife across my lap. I didn't eat, didn't read, just listened. Hours bled by. The silence was so thick I thought I'd go crazy. Then, sometime after midnight, it came. 3 knocks. Not wind. Not branches. 3 slow, heavy, human knocks against the outer wall. My skin went ice. I clamped my hand over my mouth because I knew I was about to scream. Knock. 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 Each one spaced just enough to twist my guts. I thought, if that bolt gives, I'm dead. I didn't breathe. Didn't move. The knock stopped. Then nothing. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. I swear I could hear something outside shifting, dragging. At one point, I swore I heard breathing right against the boards. I sat there till dawn, candle long burned out, blade digging into my palm from how tight I was gripping it. When the sun finally leaked through the cracks, I unbolted the door with shaking hands. The clearing was empty. No prints, no red cloths, nothing. I didn't wait. I packed my gear and got the hell out. Took a different trail back, half running the whole way. When I reached my car, I was soaked in sweat, shaking so bad I couldn't get the key in the ignition. I never told my sister. Told her the trip was fine, that I just needed to cut it short. But even now, years later, I wake up some nights hearing those knocks in my head. 3 deliberate raps against thin wood, patient as hell. Whatever was out there in the Blue Ridge, it wasn't a hiker. And I'll be damned if I ever set foot near Ledger's Gap again.